Howdy doody, everybody. Welcome back for some more of my crazy views from Tumor Town with your old buddy Bruce. Today, I'm going to talk Social Security because it irritates me that so many people really don't seem to understand Social Security, particularly the politicians. They want to pitch to you all the time that, Social Security is some boogeyman cost to the government that's just going to drown us. Oh my God, we've got to do something about it. It's terrible. It's horrible. Ah! Right? Bullcrap. It's a lie. They are lying to you. Okay? Now, if you don't know anything about Social Security, and I'm not an expert, I don't have a PhD in this. This is just stuff I've learned through my own life experience, okay? But, Social Security was started, back before World War II and the Great Depression because societies had changed so dramatically, right? We had gone through the Industrial Revolution, from a rural-based, economy to an industrial-based economy. And that broke the families up. So you had all these people who had no family support anymore, right? They weren't living with their kids and getting taken care of. So there was no safety net for them, and there needed to be one. So Social Security was created to basically meet that need, so that as people aged, they weren't left without at least something to get by on, okay? That was the idea, and it's a good idea. I mean, you look around. If you look at the stats today on how many people are actually prepared for retirement today, it's astounding, I think if I remember right, I think 60% of Americans are nowhere near financially ready for retirement. They're going to have to work their entire lives, or they're going to live, under the poverty level because their Social Security is so little. It's not going to make the deal work for them. I mean, Social Security, back in the day, was meant to be a pretty good catch-all. But today, they all tell you, oh no, it's not meant to cover everything, obviously. Just to give you a little, a little bump, a little safety net. Because, if you're getting, $1,200 a month, and you're a single person who's 67 years old, let's say, you tell me how far you think you can go on $1,200 a month. Not very far. But let's backtrack a bit here. The benefits aside, Social Security was set up as a separate entity from all other government accounting, okay? As far as income and outgo, as far as the money is concerned, it's a total separate entity. Okay, everybody who's working right now is paying the Social Security tax. And the money that goes into that fund from those taxes every year is what's being used to pay people like me who are getting Social Security, my Social Security payment, right? The folks behind me are paying for me. And it's a contract, an idea that, okay, they're going to pay for me and the people behind them are going to pay for them. It's this perpetual pay it forward sort of thing, right? So when you hear people say, this is my money, yes and no. Did you pay into the system in your day? Yes, you did. But your money went to pay, your father, his Social Security, right? And your uncle. So by the time you get here, it's not really your money. It's not like they took it and set it aside in an account just for you. No, that's not how it works. But that doesn't really matter. So long as you're going to get your benefit, everything's going to work through the system, and we'll all get what we are supposed to get in the end. But because it's a separate entity from an economic standpoint, you can't lump it in with the rest of the government costs. But the politicians do this all the time to scare you, to make you think, oh my God, that entitlement called Social Security, oh, it's going to bankrupt us all. Well, that's not true. Okay? The vast majority of the time, Social Security runs a profit. It takes in more in taxes than it pays out. Now, here's the real screw of this, is the Congress takes that profit, puts it in its pocket. and spends it as part of its normal budgetary spending, right? And then it issues this little piece of paper, a special bond that says, oh, I owe you X amount of dollars again, because I took it and used it. Now, that was all back, you might remember Al Gore with the lockbox, the whole deal. But that's all just an illusion. That's all just paper. Because anybody who believes that the federal government will ever pony up all the money it actually owes the Social Security Fund is in dreamland. That's never going to happen. Never, ever, ever, ever. So just accept the fact that, every year that Social Security makes a profit, that profit goes into the general coffers of the government and will never be seen again, right? It's not put aside for a rainy day or anything like that. But in times get bad, right? You get into a big crisis like the Great Recession. Well, now Social Security can run a deficit because you got all these people out of work. They're not making money, so they're not paying Social Security tax. So you're not bringing in enough to cover the outgo. All right? Those moments happen. They're not often, but they do happen. And they can hurt. But, we survive them. We get through them. But when you look at it from a long-term standpoint, everybody wants to say, oh, well, Social Security's going to, run out of money when all these baby boomers, get to be whatever age and start collecting all their money. Well, okay, let's say the math is correct. Let's say all that is true. Well, there's many ways to fix that without doing anything terribly dramatic. Social Security right now is only applied to a certain amount of income. I can't remember what it is. My mind wants to say it's somewhere in like the mid 100s, 150, 160,000, something like that. After that, you don't get taxed it anymore. And it's only done on W-2 income. It's not applied on any other form of income. So, it's pretty simple to look at it and say, well, okay, I can do a couple of things. I could say, all right, let's take the limit up to $300,000. Let's say the tax applies on the first $300,000 you make. That could probably solve the problem, or $400,000 or $500,000, whatever. Or you could say, let's apply Social Security tax to other forms of income, not just W-2 income, right? Because you got a lot of really wealthy people who never see a W-2, but they get plenty of income, right? But they're not paying into the system. So, there are plenty of ways that you can fix that issue simply and quickly without causing any real ruckus or disruption. And I'm sorry, if somebody thinks, oh my gosh, that little extra tax out of my first, extra $250,000 of income is really going to hurt me, I don't think so. I think you'll survive just fine, All right, maybe you don't get to have that one, extra night out with the big fancy gourmet $100 pizza, whatever, but you'll survive. So, you have to remember, when these guys start talking Social Security at you, they're lying to you. It's a standalone entity. It has its own income and does its own outgo. Done deal. It stands alone. And you can manipulate it however you want to balance off the income to the outgo. Easy peasy. And you got numerous ways you can do it. You can mix and match. Not a problem. So don't ever let these guys scare you and get you all worked up into thinking, oh my gosh, we really have to think about Social Security. It is such a major concern. And it's just a part of the whole government, because it's not. Even if you look at the government books, it's a separate set of ledger books, totally separate from the regular accounting of the government. So don't let these people roll this stuff over on you. It's a bogus deal. Now, I, for one, don't believe that people get enough in Social Security anymore. I mean, it hasn't been really adjusted. They get cost of living adjustments, but it really hasn't been adjusted for the modern world in a very long time. And I'm one of these people who would be far more in favor of saying, let's do a mix and match. Let's raise the W-2 ceiling on what's taxable, and let's also extend it to be taxable against other forms of income, so that we can bring in enough money in Social Security to easily cover the outgo and be able to actually give everybody a sizable raise in what they're going to get. And the only other third thing you could do, but some people get really, get really upset about this idea, is means testing. If I look at somebody and I say, look, you got $5 million in assets. You got, parachute pension from your business, whatever. So you're bringing in already, $50,000, $60,000 a year in income. So I don't know that you really need that Social Security check. You can live quite comfortably the rest of your life with what you have. So I think it would be best for you to give that up and help the people who really need that money more than you do. That's just me, because if I was in that situation, I would be happy to do that, But we're capitalist Americans, and a lot of us are like, that's my money, I want my money. If I want to give it to somebody for charity, I'll do it myself. But that's just another way to go around it. But that's the way I would see it. You could also just say, we're going to tax all W-2 income. I don't care how much it is. In which case you'd have enough to do whatever you wanted to do and give everybody raises and, at the lower end of the scale, and make the system a much more protective system of our culture and our society. Because let's be honest about it. As we go along, the costs of things like assisted living or nursing home care or long-term memory care are just going to strip families and individuals of everything they have and leave them wards of the state at the end of their lives. And there's no need for that. We can get around that and do better than that. And if you want to come up with the question of, why do we even have Social Security? People should be responsible for themselves. That's a question. That's a whole different kettle of fish. And I'll get into that at one point in a video, I hope soon. But not right now and not today. Just remember what I tell you about Social Security, because I'm not wrong in this. Right? Line item by itself, its own source of income, outgo, easy to fix, not a problem, should never be considered as part of the whole rest of the government budget or entitlements. So when they do all that, they're lying to you, and don't believe a word they tell you. All right. Thank you guys. Peace, and hang 10.